Why do I love Korra Alone? This episode is one of the best episodes of all Legend of Korra. One of my main reasons why, because how much it dives into Korra's character. Because you see the many layers she has as a person. Because it's not only from being the avatar, but also she's trying to discover who she is without the identity of the avatar. And that's something she built her entire life around. That's what she always grew up believing and waiting for the day after she was fully trained and ready to save the world from great evil. This is something she had to go through so many trials and errors just to get to that point. And then what happens when you're on top of the world? And then the world comes knocking and hitting back with all the force it has against you, and then it leaves you shattered and broken. How is the, how are you supposed to recover from that? How are you supposed to recover from being wheelchair bound to be able to stand on your own 2 feet after such a painful and awful hit the world hit back at you? This is something Koa had to learn, and a lesson she had to go through to become a better not only a better avatar but a better person as well. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing Book 4, Episode 2, Korra Alone. I'm going to be discussing this episode and the many trials Korra has to go to on her journey to not only become a better person, but also become a better avatar, and how she's going to make her recovery and save the world from a great evil. Leading into my first section of the video, it will be the parallels of Zuko Alone and Korra Alone. As I was saying, this section of the video, they'll be talking about two of my favorite episodes, Korra Alone and Zuko Alone. I'm going to start with Zuko Alone because in this episode, it showed a lot about Zuko's character. We got to see who he was as a person and how his early life was with his family, how his relationship with his father, his relationship with his sister Azula, and his relationship with his mother. Because in this episode, it showed a lot about him. Because at the time, he didn't fully seem like he was a bad person, but he was just doing bad things, not only to restore his honor, but also so he can be welcome home with open arms. Because since he was banished because he spoke out in one of his father's meetings, and then his father burned his face and banished him. So he just became the banished prince, and the only way his father will let him ever come back home is if he found the Avatar. But as we could see, there was more to Zuko than just a banished prince that just wanted to capture the Avatar to return home. He was actually he was a good person deep down, but he was just being shaped by so much negativity and so much evilness from his father. Because his father Ozai, he was such an awful and evil person. He only cared about himself, and he even killed his own father just so he could become the Fire Lord. And then not only that, how the way he treated his own son, he even burned and scarred his face, and he didn't even care. So that really showed how Zuko had a lot of not only pent up rage and frustration, but also a really abusive family life, you could say. The only other person in his family that showed him compassion besides his mother was his uncle Iroh. And his uncle like was the main thing that made him change and develop over time. And then that also showed a bit of that in this episode because as we saw with Zuko, he was starting to change and develop into a better person. And especially how awful Azula would be to him. She would always lie and manipulate him every time. She would say such evil and messed up things to him for her own sick pleasure. But this episode not only showed how Zuko's older life was, but it also showed us that he can be heroic and he can actually be a good person. But he is just clouded by so much like darkness from his father and the negative side of his family tree, you could say. And it also showed us how he was starting to become a better person and changing over time. And it was taking a step in the right direction, but he could become a better person as the series went on. This episode was so outstanding with Zuko because we got a chance to get inside his head and see who he is as a person, and to show us that he's not completely evil. And now I'm going to be going to Korra Alone. This episode is one of the best episodes of all of Legend of Korra, and quite possibly the Avatar franchise, because this episode explores Korra's character and the many layers that she has as a person. Because not only is she the Avatar who's supposed to master all four elements and bring balance to the world, but she's supposed to be the symbol of peace, you could say. What are you supposed to do if your symbol of peace is broken beyond recognition? In this episode, Korra Alone, she has reached her lowest point. That yes, she's been trying to recover and heal in the past over the past 3 years since she went home, and she just keeps getting letters from all her friends and whole team Avatar about like how Marco, how he's moving on with his life and he's actually able to become a detective, and he's telling her all these like stories about how he's tracking down criminals and dealing with them and just all the awesome things he's been doing. And then when you go to Asami, Cole, like she's the only one she's been like telling how she's really been feeling and how she's really been dealing with, because she feels comfortable that one of the only people she could actually to express her true feelings towards, and that she can understand her on a personal level. Because the Simon, like she's also really forgiving, like she's able to forgive people, even though they may have treated her so bad or done so many bad things to her. Like how Asami and Koa, how they were able to fix their old relationship, how they used to hate each other, but then they actually became really close friends, and that started blossoming into something else over the past 3 years as they continue to write to each other. But then again, Asami, she was saying how she's been moving on. Her company has been blooming. She's been expanding it. She's been really making a lot of headways and making a lot of advancement in Republic City. So she's been doing really well, all things considered. And then next, letter Koa, she would get from Bolin, and he's basically saying how he's been traveling with Kavira. He joined up with Valak, and he's been helping rebuild the Earth Kingdom and actually doing a lot for the Earth Kingdom people and citizens. And he's been like helping so much with that. See, and this also showed how everyone is moving on with their lives, but Cole, like she just feels stuck. Like, yes, she's recovering from being poisoned by Sahil and the Red Lotus and getting beaten down physically, but also she's dealing with PTSD, having nightmares every night. She can't even barely sleep without having a nightmare every night. So even when she's talking to Katara and she's trying to heal her, like it's barely working. Or there's so much internal damage from the poison. So in Korra, she keeps feeling like her life is in jeopardy. Like she keeps feeling like she feels uncomfortable and she feels like she can't even like walk without stumbling, or even without seeing glimpses of Sahil nearly killing her. That's because it's her PTSD, and that's really making her really uneasy, and she's just dealing with so much, and that's just so much like anguish and pain she's going through. So that really takes a toll on her over the past 3 years. Like this episode these two parallels between Zuko Alone and Korra Alone are really well done because it shows not only are we getting into the characters' heads and seeing all the pain and torment they've been going through and like how they dealt with past relationships or their family histories and whatever traumas like they went through, but it also shows how you can see them develop and change over time, how you're able to see them grow and change in many different ways. Like even after Koa, even after when she's able to walk and actually bend again how she used to, but she's still having so much trouble with that. She's her PTSD, even though she's not physically disabled or broken down like she was at the beginning of her 3 year recovery. Even after 3 years, yes, she's able to walk and bend, but she still has her PTSD, and she's still dealing with that mental trauma, and she hasn't fully recovered from it, and it's really taking its toll on her. Look at that. She decides she wanted to go back to Republic City and see everybody. She couldn't even like face her past demons yet because it's still she's still being haunted by a a reflection of who she used to be and all the power and everything she once had compared to. She feels like a shell of her former self because this really takes its toll on her and it really makes her think is the avatar even needed at this point? Because so many people at this point they feel the avatar is not even necessary and that they don't even need her since the world has moved on in so many ways and the avatar is still just stuck in like limbo, you could say. Like she used to be on top of the world and she can't even fight like she used to or bend like she used to or be the protector that everyone needs her to be, and that's really taking its toll on her. So as I wrap up this section about Zuko Alone and Korra Alone, as I said, these two episodes are really heavy and it really deals a lot about both characters that you can understand where they're coming from and seeing how they're dealing with all their like traumas, their past failures, who they're supposed to be and who they are really beneath all the layers and all the names and titles everyone gives them. That's what you'll see. That's what you're going to see in these two episodes when you watch them. You're going to explore these two characters and fully see what makes them tick. And that's another reason why I love these two episodes so much because you're able to dive so deep into both characters and understand who they are as people. And it's not what they are and what they can do for the people around them and what they can do for the ones they care about, but it's like what they who they can offer for the world and how they can make it better instead of worse. Now, the next section I'm going to go to is I'm going to be showing footage about Koa and her like healing process and how she's been healing and recovering over the past 3 years. Continuing with where we left off, in this section of the video, I'm showing you footage from Book 4, Episode 2, Korra Alone. And as you see on the screen, it's showing you how Cole's been dealing with her PTSD and how she's been recovering in the southern water tribe for the past over the past 3 years, and it really shows it's all the everything she's been through in book 3 and book 1 and 2, how it's taken its toll on her. Because not only from being poisoned and the poison doing a lot of mental, causing a lot of internal damage and injury to her body, it's also the mental strain of how she nearly died from that whole event and how she'd been dealing with that. Katawa, she's trying her best to heal her, but it's still taking so much time and effort. She's helping her walk again, and she's using the healing power of the water from waterbending to heal like Koa's body. But as you can see, Koa, she still has struggling, and she's not able to fully walk by herself. She's still in her wheelchair, and she's still been still been going through so much. Especially what makes it worse is that as time goes by, she's just getting so many letters from her friends from Marco, how he's been being a detective and dealing with all the stuff he'd been with in his life and how he'd been moving on and actually getting promoted and whatnot. And then you have Bolin. He joined Valak and Kavira as they try to rebuild the Earth Kingdom after the whole scenario with Zahir after he killed the Earth Queen. And then it fell into chaos and ruin. And then Kavira, she stepped up and she decided to become the great uniter and reunite her nation to basically bring order, order and peace to the Earth Kingdom instead of it being just chaos and destruction. And Bolin, he's been helping her with that, and also he's been expanding and learning about and just moving on in his life. That's what he's been doing over the past 3 years. And then as you go to Asami, she's been pretty much being really good. She's been having so many advances in Republic City. She's been being successful. She's been using her intelligence and her father and her company to do a lot of good in Republic City. Not only making new machinery and new tech for everybody, but also making advances in the tech they already had, all their vehicles they already had. She's pretty much just doing great, and her company is expanding and everything. So yeah, Korra, she's still been recovering. She's just reading all these different letters from all her friends and everybody, how they've been moving on with their lives and just doing so much good in the world. And then even sometime later, after she was when she was able to walk again, and actually she started being able to bend again, but she's not at peak. She's not exactly where she was at, like at the beginning, or as you could say, by book three when she had so much strength and so much power and she was just on top of the world. But she's still like recovering and she's still not at her full potential as she once was. And that really takes its toll on her because it's like even though you're physically better but you're still mentally damaged, you still have so much mental scars from like nearly being killed and being poisoned and beaten down by Sahir. And that's how much damage he really did to the Avatar because he's one of the main villains who would actually able to break the Avatar, like break her mentally but also physically, and that's really taking its toll on her. And then even and then once she does decide to go back to Republic City, she decides that she just needs to take a journey of self discovery, not only trying to reconnect with Wava and her past lives, but also trying to find herself again to see who she really is. Like outside of just being the avatar, but to see the type of person she is. That's what she's been taking a journey by herself and just learning from that, trying to become more human, you could say, and not just be the avatar and not just be the bringer of peace or the protector like everyone just sees her as. And how is she supposed to help the world and make it better? But as her journey continues, she deals with so much. Like she sees how so many people in the public, you could say, just are moving on, not even thinking about the avatar, and they're even questioning her and asking her, "Do we even need you?" And that really takes a toll on Korra too, because it's like you just you got poisoned and mentally beaten down, and then you're like people around you are saying they don't even need you, even though you're the avatar and you're the bringer of peace and you protect the world and everybody. And then everyone's going around saying they don't even need you or they feel you shouldn't even continue doing this job because you're just getting hurt and you're just getting broken and beaten and like everyone else just keeps telling you you should just stop because it's not good for you to keep doing this. So Cole, like she can't just stop because it's like you're using after everything you've been through and after all the pain and torment you've gone through, you can't just stop being the Avatar. And that's not who she is. She doesn't just give up and just stop being the Avatar or stop being who she wants to be. Cause that's another reason why I love this episode so much, because it just shows you the many layers of Korra's character, and you're able to see how, yes, she could just give up, but that wouldn't sit right with her. That wouldn't be that wouldn't be what she wants to do, or the person she wants to be, because she's just not that type of person to just run and just give up on something. Because it showed, even though she was beaten down and broken for so many years, she still continued to fight and still continued to go on. Even though it was agonizing, it was painful, it was mind destroying, but she still just kept going no matter what. Because yes, in this episode, she also got annoyed with people because they kept trying to coddle her instead of trying to like help her get back to where she was. Because she can't go back, but she can go forward and become the Avatar and the person everyone needs her to be, and to be the person she wants to be instead of what everyone thinks. So as I go on about Koa finding her balance, that's basically what she had. What book 4 was all about: balance. She had to not only balance who she really is, but also balance of being the Avatar, and have balance within herself to actually be able to know who you are and know what your purpose is, especially if you lost it for a little while. If you're lost and you just don't know what to do, but you still keep pushing forward anyway. And that really shows how strong a person can be, especially if they go through so much pain and so much suffering, but they still refuse to give up no matter what. That just says a lot about a person, and that they're so determined, and they're so like strong willed that they just won't give up. And that's something I really love about Koa, because even though she goes through so much pain and agony, but she still just fights and she still gets back up no matter how difficult it is for her. So she inspires me like so much. Because another reason that I relate to her is, once I graduated high school, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. I felt there was two paths for me to go, and like everyone kept telling me to do one thing or the other. And then I had to just sit back and think, what do I want to do? How can I benefit from the best path that suits me best? What? I'm only choosing what I want to do because I want to do it, and that's my passion and my goal. I want to do, because that was the hardest thing. After I graduated high school, I just didn't know what I fully wanted to do or what my purpose was. But as time went on, I just took some self reflection, and then I just figured out and discovered what I wanted to do. And then once I fully got my path laid out, I just kept going, and I've just been going ever since. It's been a long and hard road, but I'm still pushing and still going through. And that's something what I really love about Korra, because it shows how, even though it was a long journey for her to go through, not just in book 4, but in all the books uh, throughout the entire series, that she still just kept going, even though she had many faults and she lost many times, but she still just didn't give up no matter how difficult it was. So that's another reason why I love her so much. Especially if you didn't know, when I did research on her name, the meaning of Koa, it means halt. So that also shows that she has a strong heart, and that she's able to care and she's compassionate about people. Yes, like some of her character flaws, that she's stubborn, she's hot headed, she doesn't like to always listen to people. But if anything, that relates to so many people, because when you're 17 years old, you're gonna be like that. You're still a young kid at that point. Yes, like you're almost an adult, but you're still maturing, you're still learning, you're still developing. So you're not gonna be at the most mature or the most strong or the most intelligent type of person at that point of your life, but you grow as time goes on and you learn so many different things as time goes on. So in conclusion, I love Korra because of her heart, of her passion, her determination, and her strength to keep going no matter how difficult it is. Yes, I get people may not like her, but I mean you could at least understand where she's coming from and try to relate to her and try to get to know her as a person. If you watch her entire journey from beginning to end, you'll see how she was at the start of her journey and where she's at the end of it. When you compare book one Korra to book four Korra, they're like completely different people because they've gone through so much in their life and they went through so much torment and so much pain and like so much self discovery over their books. And it really shows you how amazing a person can be and how much they can develop and change over time. So I hope this video will help you have a new outlook on Korra, like not fully hate her as some people do, but at least get rethink their whole position on her to see she's not as bad as a lot of people like to say, and she's really complex and she has so many awesome and great character traits in so many ways. She can inspire people and make people better versions of themselves. All right, Kate, this wraps up the video. Thank you all for listening. My name is Blue Knight 23, and please, everyone, have a good day and see you in the next video. Good. Have a good day.